Okay, so I'm working on my Kawasaki. It's a 1982 KZ1100, the A2 shaft drive. And the reason I was working on it is I couldn't get it to start. It wasn't a alternator, or excuse me, it wasn't a carburation issue or anything. I'd push the starter button and it would spin, but it wouldn't grab. So, and it started to kind of go out over time. Just got worse and worse. I shouldn't say worse and worse. Just one day, it just didn't work anymore. So I thought it was a starter. Well, dummy me, I went and bought a starter, and then I started reading more on it and found out, oh, there's a starter clutch in there. I don't know a lot about motorcycles, so I'd never torn this one apart that far. I've torn it almost all the way apart, but not that far. So I ordered a clutch repair kit, starter clutch repair kit, and I came out. I got the starter clutch off of there. And the book, according to the book, and here's the book I have. I have the Climber Kawasaki manual. Well, lo and behold, there's a couple different things wrong. Let me show you a few of those things. If you take a look, you can see the springs right here. Now you see the springs are 3 different sizes. This one here had this pin on it. As you can see, this pin, this is what the pin's supposed to look like. This pin's still good. The rollers are still good on it. And this pin's good, and that pin's good. This pin right here is busted in half. Let me pull out a little bit so I can focus there. There we go. That pin's busted in half. But also, and this pin was on this first spring right here, which is only that long. The second pin is that length, and as you can see, the third pin is the original length it's supposed to be. Okay, so one of these bearings, these roller bearings, that goes in right here, they tuck back up in there, and the springs are supposed to push them out. See, the spring pushes them back out right here, out to here, so that when the other portion of the clutch, it's on the gear, spins, this pushes against it. Well, this was being stuck back in there because this pin was broke and that spring was compressed, and it looks like it's been that way for quite a while. Also, these are the 3 bolts. These 3 bolts right here are what was on this in here, and when I pulled this off, this was, you could turn like this and was wobbly to the point that you could actually move it this direction while it was on the shaft. I have a feeling that's probably what broke that pin and what broke another portion, which I'll show you in just a moment. But these are supposed to have Loctite on them, and as you can see, there was never any Loctite on there. Also, these got to be so loose that it flattened out the threading clear up here because it was banging. This was banging back and forth the whole time that bike was running. And I've put, since I have had it, I've put about 5,000 miles on the bike. So I think it's been doing that the entire time. Now, let's look at the other part that's pretty interesting. We're going to go over here, and as you can see, I'm kind of working, not necessarily totally in the dark, but I don't have a light over in this section of the garage. But I'm going to pull up the gear here, and inside the gear, this is the clutch gear. Starter clutch gear. That's the expensive part to replace. Fortunately, teeth on that are okay. There's no cracks, there's no damage to that. But I'm going to spin this bearing a little bit, and I'm going to show you on the inside here. See that bearing there? That one was actually broke in half. And you can see right there. That bearing was busted in half in there. Now, if I turn this, and I'll turn it to the light, and I'll pull this out a bit so you can see. I don't know if you can tell from this video, but that is gnarly as heck. I mean, that thing got chewed up in there, expanded it out. So the 2 bearings on the opposite side, on the outsides of that, are both being compressed and are unable to roll. And this has chunks of metal taken out of it. So what I'm going to do is, I've already ordered a clutch repair kit, so that'll replace all these springs, pins, and rollers. I'm also ordering, now I'm going to order a new needle bearing kit for this, or new needle bearing to completely replace that one. As you can see, this, well, for those that have never seen how this works, this goes on here. The idler gear, which is right here, goes in like so, and you just push that pin in. Okay, so when the starter turns, this right here turns against this right here, which turns this, which then turns this. So as you can see, yeah, maybe you can't see, there. That's how it works. So when this spins forward, it actually grabs those bearings, run against this shaft right here, and those then are connected to the rotor, which is bolted in right here. This turns the motor over. But then after it's done, the rotor can spin freely, and this actually, basically, it doesn't turn backwards, it doesn't turn at all. This sits still and allows the rest of it to spin, but those bearings are allowed to push back up in because of gravity. Centrifugal force will pull those back in. The springs are what keep them pushed down against this, and those three pins, or those three rollers that I was showing you earlier, actually connect against this and create so much friction that it will turn the motor over. So that's how the starter, idler gear, and starter clutch work in the 1982 KZ1100 motorcycle. And I'll back it up just a little bit so you can see this beautiful beast that I have here. And see, there's there's a dent in the tank. That's where my knee hit on my first accident. And other than that, you know, it's just to show off my bike. That's a Herculiner roll-on pickup bed liner. So it's actually a rough surface, kind of a rubberized coating and pins. But that's, well, that's my workbench. And I guess that's just about the gist of it. So my name's Shannon, and that's my KZ1100. That's the starter clutch, the starter clutch, and pins, springs, and bearings, and needle bearings busted up in my KZ. So I'll get that fixed, and once I get the new ones, I'll actually show you how I assemble those and put them back in and put it back on the bike.